As if these elections weren't enough for 2018, we have some very interesting issues that the courts will presumably decide on this year.
Right. We've got the voter ID case still in court. Looks like it's going to be in court for years. It's been in court for years. We have the sanctuary cities legislation that passed in 2017, still in court. The longest one has been in court for a long time is the redistricting case. Texas started its redistricting with the 2010 census. In 2011, the legislature drew the first maps, which in some form, they've been changed some, but in some form are still pending in front of a 3-judge federal panel. It's possible, not likely, but it's possible in the middle of this year that the court could come up and say, we want a do-over on some of these elections. They're looking at congressional races, they're looking at state house races, the state senate they've locked away. And it's possible, they did this in 2006, it's possible they come in mid-year and go, scratch, let's have some do-overs on some of these races. So redistricting's a big thing, the voter ID stuff is big, the sanctuary city stuff is big, and then there are a bunch of other laws, social issues and other things.
Abortion.
DACA, abortion, and on and on. It seems like a lot of our government takes place in the courthouse now instead of the legislative.
Do you think when it comes to those maps that the court feels any rush, considering that we are going to have a primary election, in March and early voting starts in February?
I think the polite answer would be sure they feel a rush, but they've been working on these maps since 2011. I would say no. They've been, these judges have been dithering for a long time. They went 2 years without a hearing in this case. They've recently picked that back up, but they're taking their sweet time about it. In fact, the state is going to get a new census. All the states will get a new census in 2020 and draw new maps in 2021. So you've only got the 18 elections and the 20 elections, and then we start the whole thing all over again.
Any other big things you think people should be aware of?
I think Hurricane Harvey is going to be a big lingering political issue in Texas, and I think it's going to change the outcomes potentially of a lot of elections in Southeast Texas, not just Houston, because Houston's getting a lot of attention, but the Victorias and the Rockports and the Aransas Passes, a lot of those places that were very heavily hit by Hurricane Harvey are still looking for some kind of relief, some kind of help, infrastructure, rebuilding, all of that. I think that could linger well into the election season and influence even some of the statewide races.
Do you feel that we are on the cusp of a change when it comes to politics in Texas with these 2018 elections?
You never know until you know. It's much easier to see in the rearview mirror than to see out the windshield. The last really big wave election that we had that changed a lot of things all at once was somewhat unexpected. That was the 2010 Tea Party election. It was Barack Obama's first midterm. A lot of Democrats are looking at that. A lot of Republicans are looking at that and saying, well, I wonder what the first midterm for Donald Trump is going to be like. But you can read this either way right now. From 10 months out, the final election's not till November. From 10 months out, you can say, well, I think Donald Trump's going to have a tough year across the country or a tough year in Texas. But you don't know what we're going to be talking about in October of 2018, and until you know that, you don't really know how that election's going to go.
Early voting for the Texas primary election begins in about 6 weeks on February 20th. Election day is March 6th. Of course, we encourage all of you to get educated on the candidates and go out and vote. That's Texas This Week.